Okay, we are gonna go ahead and get started. If you're brand new, my name is Jordan and I'm Diamond, and Emily Burgess is also Diamond, and so is Joanna Miller. We connected, oh my gosh, how many years ago now? 3, 4? I can't, 4 years ago when we were babies in Plexus. We did not have the same uplines. Honestly, we just kind of stalked each other on social media and looked at each other's like our ads, and we saw that we all kind of had the same goals and we were out the same drive and we were posting the same, and like we were at our ads were the same, we were the same rank, and so we just kind of linked arms. We were and became what we like to call power partners. And y'all, from then on, we have basically ranked up within just a few months of each other every single rank since. And it has been a beautiful partnership. And this call is really special to us because I remember a day when I would set up a Zoom link and I would have one person show up on my team. And now we're able to collaborate and just kind of be very one Plexus and just share, wisdom to each other's teams. And we now have something really special that we're going to do because y'all, we are surrounded by some really smart girls. And so we have now asked our jewels, those are our emeralds and sapphires, to help out with these calls so they can share some wisdom, because y'all, they're in the trenches just as much as we are, if not more. And so I'm excited for your I hope she doesn't mind that I'm sharing this, but Katie Burns was going to be leading this call tonight, and she messaged us this morning, and she is not here. She is actually in the hospital. And so if y'all could just say a prayer for Katie, okay, it would mean the world to me. Yeah, it would mean the world to me. So if y'all could say a prayer for her, don't bombard her with messages, but just pray. That would be awesome. But Taylor, her sponsor, has graciously stepped up, and she has all the wisdom, that Katie has, because she is Katie's upline, and she is going to be sharing on organization and all the things that make us less chaotic. Does anybody struggle with being organized in your business? In the chat, say yes if you do. What is it? Is it your virtual office? Is it a follow-up system? Are you scared of your virtual office? Is it overwhelming? Are you organized with your posts? Are you organized with your follow-up? What about time blocking? Anybody really stink at time blocking, and you're like getting to the end of the day and you realize you haven't even done your IPA? Is anybody scared of IPA sheets? If you are, we need to talk. We're going to talk about all of that tonight. So Taylor, y'all, she's earned multiple shopping sprees. Her team is on fire right now. And so Taylor, please lead us, oh wise one.
Thank you. That was like the sweetest intro ever. Okay. Hi, you guys. Like Jordan said, I am Taylor. I'm an emerald, and we are pivoting tonight, you guys. This call was going to look so different, but I love that we have this flexibility to pivot when we need to. Okay. So first things first is I just want to tell you guys, so we're going to do a little activity. So while I'm chatting on this, if you guys have a piece of paper and a pen, thank you. I want you to go grab it. Maybe a highlighter or just whatever you can find, but just grab a pen and a piece of paper. You guys, when I got started, one of the things that I truthfully did not do well at was time blocking, and not even like necessarily time blocking, but like I knew what I needed to get done in my day, but it was all up here. It was all in my head. And then kind of like what Jordan was saying at the end of the day, I was like, okay, I feel like I've been working all day. What have I actually gotten done? And I hadn't actually filled out an IPA sheet. I hadn't actually sent out messages. What I was doing was I was training myself in my mind, but I wasn't actually doing my IPA, which was what I needed to do. And then when the day ended, I was a little stressed and overwhelmed because I hadn't actually accomplished anything. And so if you are on our team and you were in Texas with us this past week, we did this little activity and I love it. So I want to do it with y'all. So does everybody have a pen and piece of paper ready? Or if you don't, have like a note section or whatever. Okay, cool. All right, I want you guys to turn your, actually no, we'll do that in a second. Okay, I want you guys to write down non-negotiables, okay? And I'm just gonna share a few of what mine are so you kind of know what to write down. So for me, like non-negotiables in my week is I know every Tuesday night we have a team call at 9:15. That to me is a non-negotiable. I have to be on that call. Something else might be like for me, Sunday morning church. I know between a certain hour every single Sunday morning, I'm going to be unavailable. I'm going to be at church. That's a non-negotiable. My kids going to school Tuesdays and Thursdays, non-negotiable. I have to do that. So I want you guys to take a few minutes and let's write down our absolute non-negotiables for the week, and then we'll move on. Okay, so hopefully you guys have a good list. The first time that I did this, y'all, I think I only had like 3 or 4 things down. So that's totally fine if you do. Okay, so once you have that established, we're going to move on to your other non-negotiables, but that are flexible throughout your week. Okay. And so some things that I wrote down was I had to get laundry done throughout the week, but I was flexible in my days and in my times that I could get it done. But I knew that that was something I had to accomplish. So I wrote down laundry. I knew I had to go grocery shopping for my family. So I wrote that down because I was flexible in when I could do that. Other things like, I deep clean rooms in my house every week. I take one room and I deep clean it. But that's flexible. So think about those, and let's make a list of it. Okay, Kylie. So we are writing down, just find like a pen and a piece of paper, and we're writing down our non-negotiables for the week. Non-negotiables like team calls or taking your kids to school or, things like that, coaching calls. And then we're doing another non-negotiable list of things that are more flexible. So things like doing laundry or cleaning your home or going grocery shopping. So make 2 different lists. Um, Okay. The last thing that we're going to do before we kind of put this all together is I want you guys to think about some extra time that you have something for yourself, or like you guys know you have to fill your cup to be the best business owner, to be the best wife, to be the best mom. You have to pour into yourself. Literally, I wrote that down. I wrote down date night. So I want you guys to think about ideal extra time. So a few things that I wrote down was, like Jordan said, date night. I need to plan time with my husband. That just has to happen. Or maybe for some of y'all, you have to schedule in taking a shower. Okay. Like moms, you have to schedule taking a shower. For me, I wrote down taking a nap. I need a lot of rest. And so I scheduled when I'm going to take my naps throughout the week. Maybe it's getting a massage or getting your nails done or something. I want you guys to think about, if you had extra time throughout your week, what are some things that you would want to do? And write those down. Okay, so hopefully you guys have a good amount of stuff written down. The last thing I forgot about this, and this is not going to be hard, but I want you guys to look at your schedule and figure out where in your weeks can you find time to completely unplug. Like turn off your phone, be with your family, be with your kids. And I would love if you guys could find like 2 hours within your week, whether it's all at once or it's split up throughout the week. For me, mine is 6:30 to 8:30 every Thursday night. I am not available except for tonight because one of my friends went to the hospital. So I was available tonight. But for the most part, you guys, what I know she totally is at 6:30. So I want you to think about that. 2 hours, where can you find that within your week? And then when you guys are done, I want you to turn your page over and I want you guys to write it, like do lines. My paper is not big enough, but write it to where you can do an entire week on one piece of paper and do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then when you do that, we're going to go back and we're going to look at all of the non-negotiables, the absolute non-negotiables, the flexible non-negotiables, and the ideal extra time. And we are going to write them in our week. And then when we're done with that, there's something that I want to talk about because this was a really big eye opener to me on how I was actually working. So let's spend a few minutes just filling this in and then we'll chat about this at the end.
Okay, I'm sorry. So I've done this. What am I supposed to do after this? Like, what is the assignment after we've done the days?
Yeah. So you're going to go back and look at like your non-negotiables, right? So like for me, every Tuesday night at 9:15, I have a team call. So I'm going to go to Tuesday and I'm going to write team call 9:15 at the bottom. I'm going to like fill in my days with the things that I have going on like throughout the week.
Okay, sorry. I think you literally just answered this question. Do we put in everything or just the non-negotiables?
Okay, so personally, I put in everything because I need to see like exactly what my week is going to look like. But for the sake of time, you can just do like the non-negotiables so we can get through everything. But as you guys are filling that out, what I wanted to show you was something that I really ran into was I was on my phone, I would say 90% of the day from when my husband left in the morning to when he came home. And when he came home, I was like, what have I actually accomplished today? And when I would go and get in bed, I realized I hadn't sent out messages. I was replying to people or I was helping people on my team, but I wasn't actually getting anything done IPA wise. And so when I did this for me, I saw that, okay, on Monday, the only thing I have going on Monday is a call at 9:15. I have no other like non-negotiables that I have to get done. And so for me, I have scheduled in that I know throughout my day, I'm just not going to be able to fill out an IPA sheet. So I'm going to get up an hour early in the morning and fill that out. And then I've got all day with my kids, knowing that my work for the day is already done. And so anyways, I just wanted to show this to you guys because this was a really big eye opener that my days actually aren't as busy and as jam-packed as what I make them out to be. I'm just not time blocking well. And so anyways, I just wanted to share that with y'all.
Taylor, can I share something really fast?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm just curious because I know we do a lot of events. Does anybody ever feel like you have like random things on random nights all the time? And it's just like boom, 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 boom. I felt like that when I started because I was really having a lot of girls getting started and I was doing a lot of silver events. And so this worked for me and I would love to hear like somebody else does it different, but for me, I would rather have 2 or 3 events on one night and do them all on one night and have nothing on Friday night so that my brain is completely clear than to do it, have one every single night. So that has always worked really well for me is like is really filling in like, okay, from here to here, this is going to be my event night. Like even Zach used to know Thursday nights were event nights. Like he just knew.
Mhm.
I liked that idea and I wanted to do that. And I did that a couple different times, but I found that the hardest thing for me was if I had at least a few level ones that were heavily recruiting or at least inviting, then the 3 ways afterwards were really tough to stick with. So how is it that you kind of negotiate that?
Yeah, that was the case for me too. What I liked to do was kind of stagger them by like 30 minutes each. So I at least had like a 30-minute break to just focus on these 3 ways. If we need to do a phone call, we did it. And then I could actually do more phone calls during the next person's event because I don't need to be present. I scheduled them and then I'd kind of move on. And then, yeah, so that's kind of how I did it. I would stagger them just a little bit, 15 to 30 minutes.
I have a question along with that. Because that's kind of where I'm at right now. I feel like there's a little bit happening every night, especially in the events. We've been heavy events since the beginning of the new year. And my struggle is a lot of my team is Pacific Standard Time and I'm in Eastern time zone. So there's a huge, the events start at 7 for them, and which is already 10 o'clock for me. And then by the time 3 ways are finished up, like it's midnight, and which is like I can do that every so often, but I'm doing it a lot right now. So if anybody has tips on that, I would love to hear what you do. And I mean, I tried to stick it to like Tuesdays and Thursdays where we do events, but sometimes there's somebody that schedules a Wednesday or and a lot of my girls are new, so they definitely need me in the 3 ways to coach them up on those conversations. So anyway, if anyone has tips, I would love to hear them.
You know what my tip is going to be to you, Marissa? If it's not a level 1's event, then you need to let that level 1 run their own event and you do not have to be there. Even if you feel like you have to be there. That is my biggest tip to you. Unless it is a brand new level 1, let them fly.
I was going to say too, if you've got other people that are on the East Coast, delegate tasks and have them create the event. or initiate that too. It doesn't necessarily have to be level one, just anybody on your team specifically, or even a sideline sister. Connect with them and get like a posse of Eastern time frame people, because I've got one too that she's Eastern as well. And so, and I've got someone in Seattle and someone in North Carolina. And so it's super early there and super late there. So they need to connect with each other and then create their own events and do it that way. And then they're all on their own favorite time zone.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on too what Emily said, because I did this a lot when like for Katie, whenever I would do lives for Katie's event, because she's in California and I'm in Ohio, and so we're 3 hours different. And so by the time that she would need me, it would be like 10 or 11 o'clock my time, and it just didn't work. And so I would just record like a little video of me, and then I would just shoot it over to Katie. And then when it came time for my live, she would just upload it, and then people could still see my story. And then the next morning, I would go in there and like comment in there about my own story, so people knew like who I was, and they could like click on my profile and see that I was like a real person. But then that way I wasn't required to stay up until, midnight. So that's something else. So I would love to hear if anybody is done with this, like looking at your schedule, are there any like nooks and crannies within your day that maybe you thought were like super busy, that maybe you're looking at it and you're like, okay, hey, Wednesday morning isn't as crazy as what I actually thought it was. Like I can totally do something in these 2 hours. Like, does anybody see anything like that?
I did. I have classes, and so I'm always like waking up and then going to classes. So it's like now time blocking everything. I could go get a workout before, or I can do my work before my classes. Like I can fit a lot more than I thought I could.
Okay, I have a question for people that like working mamas that work full time. I feel like I do a lot of my plexus work at my other job, which I'm an educational diagnostician. So it gets so overwhelming. And I'm also a club volleyball coach. And I also have a 1-year-old that goes to bed at 6:30 my time. So, and I work out at 3:30 in the morning. And so I just feel like I cannot find time. I don't even know what this IPA thing is that y'all are talking about. And I probably should, because I'm sure Chandler has told me. But yeah, like I just feel like I cannot find time to truly work the business. Like I've helped girls in 3 ways, and I've learned a lot from Chandler and how to fit things in, but like I'm fitting things in on my lunch break. That's 30 minutes at work. If anyone has any tips.
We're going to talk about IPA sheets here in just a minute. I'm sure many of you guys, if y'all want to share tips, Bob, I know you're not Bob. It's so funny every time I see that. I used to work 50 hours a week, and I had 2 under 2. And so what I did was I used IPA sheets, and we'll show you what that is in just a few minutes. But that was really helpful, because I would just work in the car on the way to pick my kids up, or I would work from 10 to 11 at night while my husband slept beside me. I would work a lot in the car. I was working in between clinic. So long story short, it was a lot of nooks and crannies, but IPA sheets were the key.
I feel like too, you can do batching is like, so for instance, once you like come up with your game plan of what you're supposed to do that day anyways, then when you have your time, like whether it's in the car or whatever, then you can do like all birthdays real quick, or the next time you can do all reach outs, or you can do all follow-ups, but you're going boom, 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 getting them done that way. But I was a lot like Jordan when I started. I was working 60 to 80 hours a week in PT and documentation time at home, and I had 2 under 2 as well. And a lot of my stuff was like training calls or training anything, podcasts, all that stuff was first thing was on the way to work. After that, all of them were messages to people. Marco Polo was actually my best friend, and I actually appreciated it because I could talk with the people. They could see my face, they could see my integrity, they could see my heart. And I could just talk with them and follow up about life and just connect. So Marco Polo was awesome.
What Marco Polo is, Kyla?
Huh?
Will you share what Marco Polo is?
It's that beach, pool thing. It's the pool thing. Oh gosh, it's an app. It has a little beach ball on it. But thank you. Who are you? Thank you, Lauren. It looks like a little beach ball, but basically it's like text message meets video chat. And so you can view it at any time that you want. And so you just literally hit start and you just talk. And when you're done, you hit stop. And people can interact with emojis. They can, if you upgrade like I did, because I love interacting, then I get all my emojis. I can actually hit a record button and have like 10 seconds to respond. So if you have someone who talks for 20 minutes, then you can respond right when they ask questions or whatever, and get them in there. But you can view it at any time. That's the nice part, is it was, it's termed, it was made for busy people. So it's super helpful. But it was lots of nooks and crannies. And now this is my third. And I had to reevaluate when it worked for me. So like you will find seasons that it will work in one spot and then it won't work in that spot at that other time. And so I have kids in and out all the time. And so I'm like, okay, I can totally get up at 4:30 because I'm usually going to bed at 9:30 anyways. I want to have my time, my devotional first. And I want to get my mindset right. And I want to do my workout first. And then I'm going to sit down and do my IPAs. And you know what? You feel like you've accomplished the world when you start off first, instead of going, oh my gosh, it's 9 o'clock at night. Just do the things. And then you're rushed. So anyways, that's my 5 cents.
I did want to touch on this too, because I remember that season. I actually started when my son was 6 months old, and I worked full time at a cancer hospital. So like they're really like, my job was very demanding. They're really like, it was very limited time that I had available. And the time that I did have available, I was like, I want to be with my kids too. Like I was always juggling that. And so I guess like what I would tell you is like, one, have grace in this season, because it sounds like you have a lot on your plate too. And just realize that like it's going to be trial and error. Like something that works for you right now might not work for you in 2 months, and that's totally okay. So like just figure out what works for you now and run with that. And like what Haven said, there's no shame if you can't fully complete an IPA sheet in one day. Like me personally, that's okay. Like give yourself some grace, do what you can. But for me, really, nooks and crannies were awesome. I'll never forget Jordan telling me like, Taylor, if you're driving to work in the morning, instead of listening to music, turn on a Bob Hiley podcast, and then your mindset's already right going into work. And then like on my lunch break, instead of typing a whole message out, I would shoot over 3 voice messages and boom, bam, I was done. Like then I was good to go. And was it perfect? No, but like, did it work in that season of my crazy life? Heck yeah, it did. And like, that's what we rolled with, and it was great. And so give yourself some grace, figure out what works for you, and it'll probably change in the next 6 months, and that's okay too. So
Taylor, do you remember a season where you were like, I don't want people to hear my kids. I just don't want to hear
Lord,
them in the
yes.
background. Remember that?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Anybody ever feel that way?
yeah.
Like you're like, oh, I just do not want everybody to hear my kids. They're being crazy, they're being loud, they want to talk. Anybody ever felt like that? I used to feel like that. But what I found was when I was voice messaging people with my kids and letting my kids talk to them, it brought my kids into business. It was way more relatable. It was like real messages. And honestly, people were like, let me see that baby. Let me hear her, So it actually like made it way cooler. So anyway, I just thought I'd share that too.
And I just want to touch on this because I feel like this is me ever since the get-go. I'm also a teacher. I have 3 kids and one's on me right now. And this is where I started my business, in this rocking chair, and it's where I still work in this business. But honestly, the listing before I go to bed, I'll check my virtual office when my kids are sleeping, because I just can't do, like, it's just something that doesn't happen when they're up and they're all around. So when they go to bed, I go through my virtual office and I kind of create my list of who I'm going to reach out to the next day. And honestly, in the morning, it used to be where I would wake up before the kids and I would do work before going to work, but that doesn't really work for me now because I'm getting my kids up and out the door for school, and I just need more time for that in the morning. So I've shifted. And when we did this exactly on our Golds retreat, just a couple weeks ago or last week or whatever that was, I realized that I had more time as a teacher actually at work to be able to do some of that virtual office stuff, like in between groups or even, during a lunch period. And I cannot tell you the number of messages that I've sent literally standing at the copy machine, and you can hear it going off in the back of my voice messages, but it's just what works. And so I've switched my schedule so that I do my workout in the morning instead of, and like, I'm going to be honest, I'm pregnant right now. There's not a whole lot of that's going on, but, but I've switched my schedule so that I do more of that sit down sort of work. And even if it's not completing a whole IPA sheet, I just have a list with me always. I just keep my notebook with me always. And I can just work from that. If I have 10 quick minutes in between groups, like group is running late or whatever, I can send a message. I can, go engage in a group or whatever it is that I need to do. So just keeping those lists ongoing, and finding that time. And then it's allowed me to, when I get home, put my phone away for like an hour and a half and be with my kids when I get home from work, because there's not a lot of time after that before they go to bed, and do dinner and all that stuff, and then pick up my phone again when they go to bed. But yeah, it can definitely be done in all of the nooks and crannies of your day. And everybody has already had really good tips, but just wanted to share that.
Can I want to? Sorry, Hannah. Go ahead, Hannah.
So I have found that when I have more time available in my day, I actually get less done. So it's honestly like, I think when you can have an urgency and like laser focus with what needs to be done in a certain time frame, then we cut out the fluff. Like when like I said, if I have extra time, I avoid things that I know should be done first. And then I'll spend more time looking at stories on Instagram, or just kind of like, it's funny how we can fit so much more in to a 20-30 minute work time frame when we are totally devoted to knowing that like, these are the 3 things that I'm knocking out right now because it's all I have. This is all the time I have. So sometimes we get lost in like, my day is so crazy, but really it's just prioritizing that laser focus and having that urgency of cutting out the excess stuff.
Jordan, I know that you wanted to say something, and I want to hear what you wanted to say.
Okay. Yes, I know you've gotten lots of good advice, but one thing that really works for me as well, I've found that my business just works better and things get rolling better when I'm posting consistently on Facebook and stories and everything. And so literally on Sunday night, everyone was telling you to blitz on the weekends, which is perfect. On Sundays after church, when the baby is napping, this is 2 weeks full of what I'm going to be posting on Facebook. And thankfully, it's just kind of where I'm at in my life, where I can think about the week ahead. And like, I knew we were going to go to park on Tuesday, so I'm going to share something sweet about my day with Andy or something. And also focusing on like color posting. And so like this week, I want to post about the business. Next week, I want to post about just like a specific product and that type. So also just planning your post and knowing what you're going to post, so you don't sit down after your baby's asleep when you want to just rest and sit there for an hour and 30 minutes and think about where you're having to post. So planning that on the weekends as well.
Yeah. I will say the posting thing is really, really difficult for me. I did not want to do this business. I didn't want to post. I told Chandler and Haley Jenkins, I was like, nope, I'm doing this to support my stay-at-home mom, Haley, and I have a job, I'm good. And then Chandler is just amazing at what she does. And she was like, girl, you can totally do this. And so posting is still very hard for me. So if I post once a week, like that is huge. So I'm trying to get better on that and everything else. So thank you all for all the tips.
Yeah, I love all of that. And I mean, I know everybody else in the chat has already said this, but I always told myself when I worked full time that I would be so much better at doing all the things when I was a stay-at-home mom, and when I had all this time, like I could knock out this and this and this. And like, that was so not the case. Like I have had to learn how to be so stinking disciplined at home because I have all of this time, rather than when I worked full time, it was like, okay, I know I only have 20 minutes. It's either now or never. And so, as crazy as it sounds, it's like, I think like you're actually in a really good spot with like only having so much time throughout the day, as crazy as it sounds. Okay, I know a lot of you guys have also asked about like your organizational tips on how you stay organized and keep everything together. And there's two girls that I really want you to hear from because they're really, really good at it. One of them has already talked and she has to hop off in about 10 minutes. So I'm going to ask if she'll go first. Marissa, will you give all your amazing insight? Because I know you have a really great system for check-ins and your calendar and all the things. So will you touch on that?
Yeah. So when I first got started, you know how it goes. Sometimes you're just like adding all kinds of people and then you're like, how do I keep up with this? So I started doing, and I don't know where I heard this or how I came about this. Maybe Katie told me, I don't know. But I started writing. I would go through at the very beginning of the month and I would write down every single level one's name on my calendar. Like I'm a paper calendar person. I always have my calendar with me and a notebook. It's just what I always have with me. I take it to and from work every single day. And I would write every single level one that I have's name on my calendar on the day that their subscription is set to go out. Yes, I am an Enneagram 1. And so I'd write their name on the calendar for whatever date their subscription is set for. And the reason I do that is because like when I open my calendar, first of all, I'm very much like out of sight, out of mind. And if their name is not right there, I will forget about who they are, or not like who they are, but like that I need to check in with them or that they've had this issue or whatever. So it reminds me to check in with them the week that their subscription is going out. And it kind of depends on the person. Like if it's a brand new person that you just signed, you're going to be checking in with them a whole lot more their first 90 days than if it's somebody that's been ordering for you for 6 months. So, but I still like to know, I like to have their name there because I like to be able to, like have them in the forefront, be able to still engage with all of their posts and things like that. Like create and continue to have that community with those people. But I also do this for like, I have some people like under my mom or under my sister or whatever that don't come up when I populate, when you sort by level ones. And so I have to be really intentional about not forgetting those people because like my mom and my sister, yeah, they went silver and stuff, but they don't work the business and they're not checking in on those people. So it really is like become my job. So I put them down well on my calendar so that I know when I sit down to do my work, like I pop open my calendar, I see their names, it reminds me of what's going on. It's just a great way to just stay organized with what's happening. And I've also found that it's really cool because people change things throughout the month. Like they change their subscription day or they turn something off. And so if you have somebody's name there from the beginning of the month, and then come the 24th or whatever, like all of a sudden you see their name there, but there's no subscription, like that helps cue to you that something went on. Why did they turn off their sub, or why did they change what's in their sub? Like, do they need some help with dosing, whatever it is? So that has been something that I've been doing for, I don't even know, probably a year now. And it's really, really helpful. It's helped me maintain a lot of my immediate level one recruits that order for me. So that's pretty much my only thing, I think, Taylor, that I was going to share.
Yeah, no, and I love that because, and this just kind of like reminds me that there really is like no one way to like do all the things, right? Like, and so I personally use an app called Artful Agenda. I don't know if any of y'all have heard of it or use it. But for me, visually, I need something that is in like one spot. And so I use this app and I'm able to like put in my monthly goals for Plexus. I'm able to do like my days, my months, my weeks, my whatever, my hours, or yes. So I love that. And that's personally what I use and I love it. But I also know that Lauren Davis uses something different than both of us. And so Lo, will you kind of share what works for you also?
Yeah. So hello, my name is Lauren, and I'm also an Enneagram 1 and love organization. And so like 2 years ago, Callie, Bill, and I did an accountability group. It was like 6 weeks long. And one of our like homework homeworks was to get an organizational system down for all of your resources. And when I say resources, I mean like dosage charts, welcome pack, like the link to welcome packs, message examples such as follow-ups, new reach outs. I have message examples for like new Instagram followers, like what do I send those people when I get a new follower? Just polls, like if someone votes on my poll, how do I send that message? Where is it easily accessible? I have training videos saved. I have diamond documentaries, like all the things. And I just wanted all of that saved in one place, because in the beginning, you're like, oh yeah, I saw this post, but I don't remember what page it was on. Was it, was it on someone's Facebook? Was it on like our team's resource page? Was it in a message thread? Like, and it's just all over the place, right? And you have photos that are in different albums, and you have links that are in your notes, and like everything is just everywhere. And I needed an organized system to where it was like all in one spot, so that I could easily find it. And by taking, a few hours one day and trying to gather all of the resources I knew I needed in one location, it has saved me so much time in the future, without having to like go scramble to go find this dosage chart. Because I know you're in your message threads and someone's like, oh, can someone send me the link to welcome packs? Or can someone send me the dosage chart to this? Or can someone send me the link to diamond documentaries? Well, it's all right there. And it took me a while to gather like all of my notes and exactly like what I wanted in my app. But for the past 2 years, I have been gathering information for 2 years. So if someone sends a message example in a thread that I'm like, oh my gosh, like I love that, I will copy, paste, and I will save it in my agenda app. If someone sends a product testimony, like from YouTube, like I have one just randomly saved from like someone that quit smoking cigarettes. Like I don't have that saved somewhere else. So it's like in my agenda app. So if I come across someone that's like, does this help with quitting smoking? Actually, here is a testimony. I'd love to send it to you. I have like the Be Free video saved in my agenda app. Let me see what else I have saved in here. And I love it because I have it saved on my MacBook too. So like I can have it on my computer.
Lauren, will you send us like some screenshots of like the titles of all of it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what it looks like, by the way. It's the middle one with the little pencil. Can y'all see that? It's called Agenda. But I can send y'all, or I can send it to, I guess our team thread, and then Jordan can forward it to, or I can send it to Emily or whatever. But yeah, I just love having a space to where like all of my information is like saved and easily accessible. And recently I've had a guy that's joined my team, and I'm like, I've had this thought in my head, like, how do I lead a guy? Like, what are the guy resources? Like what does that even look like? And I've reached out to Rob Heffley, and I reached out to Cal Rainey and things like that. And so I've gathered resources from them, training videos from them. And so I have a place in my agenda app that's called like, what is it called? Men of Plexus. And so I have, resources for men. I have everything, like all things Mexico saved. So I'll send screenshots of like what I have saved. But I would just encourage you guys to get some type of app or something so you can have like all of these resources saved in one location. And then just I encourage you, like if you see something that you like, or you might need in the future, like save that in that location so that you will always have it. And there's my spill. Were there any questions on that? I couldn't keep up with any of the.
Are you able to do it where you're able to share what you have? Like how, like say in Doe app, you're able to actually share systems and stuff. Are you able to share that with like your downline for duplication, or you just basically have them kind of create and slowly ease them in that way?
So I encourage, my team to get, some type of organizational app. And I know one of my girls, Randy Page, she actually uses a system similar. I think she uses something called Trello, and I believe that she can share that with people that also have the app Trello. I'm not tech savvy, so I don't really know if I can share agenda with anybody or not, but I can copy and paste, links or message examples or whatever. But yeah, so Rainy Page uses Trello, Tiffany uses Trello. So yeah, there's tons of like organizational apps out there. Agenda is just what I started with, 3 years ago, and it's what I've continued to use. So I'm not saying that's the right one to use, but it is the one that I have been using, and it's helped a lot.
Thank you.
Can I say something too? I'm Emily. I don't do an app, but I do really try to stay organized to make it easier for the duplication process. So when somebody does come to me and they say, Em, I'm really, struggling in my mindset, I really need some help. I have in my YouTube account, because that's where a lot of our training videos are found, I have a YouTube account and I just have a bunch of different folders. So I have a mindset folder, I have a duplication folder, I have a casting vision, troubleshooting, like all of things, posting, or social media. And so any video that I watch that I find value from, I will put it in my folders, and I have it where it's viewable. So they're different like folder playlists. And then I share that playlist. Like I'll take that entire playlist and I'll send it to my team if we're focusing, on mindset or something, or they're needing some help with mindset. So that's been very helpful for YouTube for the videos. A really great way to stay organized, because I remember when I first joined Tamara Holloway, who's my upline, that was one of her main things, is stay organized. Do what you can to be organized. As you're brand new in this, try to be organized as best as you can. I'm sure many of you know this, but some of you may not. So we'll share this too, that the saved folder on post in Facebook, you can also organize those, testimonials. It could be even specific, like thyroid testimonials, mindset post, short and sweet posts that you can use as inspiration. So you can then save all those so you can go back and take a look, or you can share those with people as they're starting to, do their own posting. And then another thing that I learned from Emily Gibson a few years ago, Jordan, remember, well, you actually weren't in there. You were talking to Rob Heffley in the hallway, and I was like, you are missing gold right now, Jordan. Joanna was there with us, but it was a senior gold or a senior Ruby breakout session at convention. And Emily Gibson was talking about organization and systems, and she really utilizes her notes section in her phone. And so I also will have like I've got a whole thing of notes in my notes section of like onboarding. If somebody contacts me and they're interested in the business, what are some videos that I would send them? And I have them right there. So that way, again, I can copy and paste that entire thing to my team, as they are also like, hey, what do I do if somebody's interested in the opportunity? What videos do I send? So it just makes it so much more duplicatable. So if you don't have an app, because I don't, I still have an organizational tool. So if apps overwhelm you or scare you, you still have plenty of opportunities just through your phone. So those have been helpful for me.
Yeah, I love all of these tips. And again, I'll say it again, but I think that this is like the perfect example of like, you can do it differently than everybody on this team, but like we still utilize the same information. We just go about it differently. And there's no one right way or one wrong way to do it. It's just what works for you. And so anyways, thank you all for sharing. Jordan, did you want to close us out? I know you wanted to talk on a few things about like your follow-up system.
Yeah, and I'll be super fast, but I am, first off, if any of this is scary to you, you're like, this is a lot, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, I got to Diamond without a computer. So the queen of not being organized can get to Diamond. I promise you can figure this out. You will fumble your way through it. Okay. The other thing I'm going to tell you is, if any of this is like, well, that seems like a lot, what I want to challenge you with is that, y'all, we have to make this a priority, because our business is a priority. And our business is a priority because our dreams, our goals, and the people that have trusted us are a priority. Okay. So like, all of this may seem a little, if it seems a little overwhelming to you, I just want to encourage you that this is a priority. Okay. So follow up. How many times did your sponsor have to reach out to you or talk to you or get you in a sample group? Did anybody sign up the first time, or did it take a few times? Did it take some follow up in order to get you signed up? For me, it took about, I don't know, 2 years worth of follow up for me to sign up with my sponsor. So I want to talk about follow up really, really fast. Mine is old school. Okay. So if you were to get a piece of paper out, this is how I keep up with my lists. Okay. So like when Haley was talking about like doing our IPA, if you fail to plan, you will plan to fail. Okay. So when you have that 5 minutes of open window time, have your list ready so that you have people to message right then and there. So list making is going to be my biggest organizational tip for you. I have like probably 10 of these notebooks full of names and notes from training videos that I've watched. So I put on a piece of paper, I literally make a column and I put their name on one column. And then I put, usually I put like discovery message, like DS, or cold message, CM, my first message to them. And then I put I put like a 3RD. That's just my way of saying, did I send a third party tool to them? Did I get them a triplex video? Did I tag them in a testimony? And then the next column I have is usually it's phone call. So if I haven't gotten them on the phone, then we go into follow up. So like I have all these columns on my notebook paper. And so it's first message, third party tools, phone calls, and then I have like anywhere from 5 to 10 follow-up slots because I know it's going to take that many in most cases. And what I love to do is I use send, share, invite. That's what we teach. And so knowing maybe my next follow-up is to ask more questions. Then my next follow-up is to get them in a sample group. My next follow-up is to get them into an event to build their belief. My next one is to follow up, maybe in a blue personality and ask them if they'd be interested in learning about the trips. Maybe my next one is business, red personality, inviting them to an opportunity Zoom. So all that to say, that is my system. I have lists and lists, and y'all, I even go back to some of my old notebooks and I see all these names and like 6 check marks that I followed up and they never signed up. Okay. So, and I have all these people I can go message again. So does that make sense on follow-up? Does anybody have any questions about that?
When it comes to like when you follow up with them, like I guess there's kind of a system on like when you check in with new customers, right? Like
yes,
like the first couple, like every week for the first couple weeks and so on and so forth. Do you have like a time frame of sorts with those people that you're trying to follow up with who haven't enrolled yet? Or do you just kind of feel it out?
If you would have asked me this question my first year, I was a little nervous. I wasn't as me as I am now. I would if I messaged them and they'd never answered back, I would send one message that was like, hey, did that go through? Or hey, Facebook can be kind of weird. Did that video work? And if they never responded back to that, I go into relationship building. Okay. So that was usually my timeline. And then I would come back to them after a few relationship building messages and I would say, hey, when we have a discount code or, all the things, and the Get Over Your Dang Self book, she lists like 10 different reasons that you should go back to somebody. So anyway, that was kind of my system. Now I'm way more bold. I'm like, hey dude, listen, is this not your jam? Because if it's not, I will totally back off, but I just want to make sure that we're clear here. So now I'm just way more bold. I'm way more me. And I just ask the hard questions in a way that's not salesy. So I don't know if that, but I bet like Christina Williams has a video. She has like her 10 follow-up messages. I don't do that because every message looks different for me. So. Any other questions about that? Michaela, I will send you a picture of an old notebook that looks like chicken scratch, but okay. Taylor.
Okay, I do have another question. Sorry. So whenever someone is like, no, it's not for me, like you said, like if you ask them like, hey, like just tell me straight up, and if they say no, but you know that it actually would help them, and you keep seeing posts on their wall or whatever, or comments in conversation, and you know it would help them still, like, do you actually leave it alone, or do you keep, or like, do you?
It depends. So
Depends on the
this
person
is
and the
where I
relationship.
use the law of navigation. Okay.
Yeah.
The law of navigation. Why are they not ready? And if the answer is like, I know they're never going to do this, then I'll leave it alone. That's like the 5%. If the answer is, I know that they don't understand what this is, I know that they're getting messaged by a million people all the time, and I just haven't stood out yet. Or I know I have not sent them the thing that's going to get them to want to do this. Like, I rarely will leave it alone. But I do wait a little bit, build a relationship a little bit, and then I come back around. But Taylor told me no. I mean, Callie Beal told me no. So Chandler told me no. All my jewels told me no. So the answer is I rarely leave them alone, but I do give them a little space.
Something else that I like to do is if somebody like if I'm, and I kind of took after Jordan in this way of just being like very bold with people, just like asking them straight up. And I have had one girl that I probably followed up with 8, 9 times, and she tells me no every time. And so this last time I was like, hey, listen, like I know that this is going to benefit you, even if you don't know. So will you just send me your address, because I'm going to send you samples of a few things. And because I know if I could get the product into her hand and she could try it and she would like it, that she would be way more open to actually starting. And so that's also something else that I will do if people tell me no, is I'll just make them give me their address and I'll send them product. So you can try that route too. But also like the relationship building that Jordan was talking about, like I say this all the time. The biggest reason Jordan after telling her no was because she truly took she set an intention to be my friend outside of Plexus. Like if she would have messaged me and then I told her no and then she dropped it, it would have felt fake to me that she even reached out to me in the first place. And so I think building that relationship, even if they might not ever sign up, like that was what got me to start. Okay, well, does anybody have any questions? Thank y'all for being on here tonight and allowing us to pivot with you. Just if y'all have any questions, and if not, then we are done.
I do have a question about how you guys do those relationship building things, because this is something that, like, when I think about it too much, I get really overwhelmed by it. Because, like, if I message 50 people in 1 week, how in the world am I supposed to continue messaging 50 people week after week, or like every 3 weeks remember to message those 50 people when I'm trying to send 50 new ones the next week? Like, I know I sound crazy when I say it like that, but that's literally like what my brain thinks that I need to do.
I have thoughts, but my first thing is I did not go message Callie a million times because it was just like she was one of 50. I messaged Callie a million times because she was one of like 5. She was important to me, right? And so and I genuinely missed doing life with Callie. And so I would encourage you to be more intentional, and you don't have to do the 50, okay? Like, go be real friends with 5 or 10 and start there.
So do you what is my question? Do you like pick like 10 people and just really be intentional with them and don't go outside of that? Because
I mean, I go outside of that, like I'll be like, hey, I saw you were sick. I hope you're doing okay. Like, I'm like a real friend to other people, but like I am very intentional with a few. So that's just how it works for me personally. Emily, do you have anything on that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think that you need to be messaging and reaching out to a lot of people, because we know the statistics of 1 out of 10 statistically speaking, will respond. And that does not mean that it is a yes, but 1 out of 10 will respond. And so if your goal is to be adding 3 a month, which that is kind of like our hopeful goal every month, then you obviously need to be messaging more than just a few people a month. But the people that you absolutely believe could be amazing at the business, you need to write their name down. So just like Marissa was saying, you don't forget them. Even if you think they're amazing, you're communicating with a lot of people, so it's easy to forget. Write their names down and be very intentional about engaging with them on their stories and their posts. And maybe what you do is do a little time block with that, where for 5 to 10 minutes, you're taking 5 people off that list every day, and you're going and you're connecting with them, 5 people the next day. So that way you are able to connect. She is a 3 for sure. That way you are able to connect with those people that you believe. Now, not all 50 people that you're messaging do you need to be chummy with. You don't have the time to do that. You still need to be messaging those people, but the people that you really believe in, be intentional with them, extra intentional.
I think one thing that's helped me a lot of my level ones told me no at first, like all of them did, I think, except for maybe a couple. But I think a thing that's been like really helpful for me knowing who to reach back out to is like their objection as to why they think they can't do it. So I think if it's like price, then like that's an objection we can get over, like the business side of things, I'll bring that back up. So I think for me, people that like I reach out to a bunch of people every single week too, and I'm just like, who do I follow up with? But like if they have an objection that's like, okay, we can work with that and get over that, then that's who I reach back out to. And I'm like, okay, like I'm really gonna put the business side of them and pressure them to start that, or just kind of like, you know what I mean? Just kind of like focus what I say as like their objection to overcome that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I love that too. I just wanted to share really quick before we hop off, something that I do is, I don't know if a lot of y'all know this, but I work my business basically solely on Facebook groups. That's actually how I've met all of my team, all of my runners I met on a Facebook group. And so I have found that when I work Facebook groups, when it comes to the follow-up with these people, it's actually very authentic and it's very genuine, rather than like, oh, I have to go like follow up with this group of people, or I have to go follow up with these people. It's like, okay, we genuinely see eye to eye on like everything in life. So like my follow-up, for me, I come across way more like excited to talk to these people because they are my people. Like we share the same insights on things, rather than it being like, oh, well, shoot, I just messaged 50 people. How in the world am I going to go follow up with all of these 50? Like my mind doesn't even go there, because my initial reach out anyways was authentic, just in the simple fact that we resonate on so many levels of life, if that makes sense. So I can explain the groups, but it's kind of long, so I can try to shorten it, or I can make a training or a post about it.
Post for sure, because I see all you Eastern time girls going.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, does anybody else have any other questions? These were all really great. No. Sweet baby. Oh, she's so cute. Okay, well, if y'all don't have any other questions, then we are good for the night. Thank you guys so much for coming and chatting. I appreciate y'all so much. So thank you, and we will see you next time. Bye.